Welcome to London Property Digest, your essential 10-minute audio recap for staying informed on London's property market.
I like that tagline.
Yeah.
It's catchy.
Thanks. Today, we're going to do a deep dive into how all the activity we're seeing in London's legal sector
Oh, yeah.
might actually give us a sneak peek into the future of London real estate.
Interesting.
Our source for this is a really interesting piece from the Financial Times.
Oh, the FT.
Yeah. They're reporting that a record number of senior lawyers,
You mean like partners?
partners at big firms, have jumped ship this year.
Wow.
It's like lawyer musical chairs, but with some seriously high stakes.
Yeah, the music is coming from across the pond. You're right.
Oh,
It's not just a reshuffling. It's a sign of a bigger shift happening in the legal landscape. And you're right, the stakes are high because we're not just talking about legal fees. We're
Right.
talking about the direction of billions of pounds of investment in London property.
okay, so the Financial Times calls it an American invasion. Help me understand this. How are U.S. law firms impacting the London property scene?
Well, think of it like this: American law firms are setting up shop in London.
Okay.
And they're coming in with big ambitions and even bigger budgets.
Yeah.
They're attracting top legal talent with salaries that many UK firms simply can't match.
Oh, wow.
It's creating a talent war and the battleground. High-value areas like property development, finance,
Yeah.
anything where big money is changing hands.
So it's not just about lawyers getting bigger paychecks.
Right.
It's about who they're working for and the kinds of deals they're making.
Exactly.
But what's driving this American interest in London property? I mean, why are they so keen to invest here?
Well, the Financial Times article highlights the booming private equity market as a major factor.
Private equity.
Yeah, private equity firms are basically pools of money from wealthy investors looking to make even more money by investing strategically.
Okay.
And right now, London property is looking very attractive to them.
Makes sense.
They see opportunities for big returns, especially in areas like redevelopment and regeneration.
So imagine a U.S. private equity firm wants to, say, redevelop Battersea Power Station.
Oh, yeah.
They need a crack team of lawyers who understand UK planning laws, environmental regulations, how to structure the deal to make it happen and make it profitable.
Exactly.
That's where these high-priced lawyers come in.
Right, and those lawyers are in high demand.
Yeah.
They're the ones who can navigate the complexities of the UK property market, making sure these big investments run smoothly. So the legal expertise is essentially paving the way for this influx of foreign capital into London's bricks and mortar.
And what about the UK firms? Are they just sitting back and watching this American invasion happen?
Some are struggling to keep up, that's for sure, but others are adapting. The Financial Times points to firms like Simmons & Simmons, a mid-sized UK firm, as an interesting case study. They've actually managed to thrive in this environment, bringing on 16 new partners this year.
16. What's their secret? Are they matching those U.S. salaries?
Not necessarily. It seems we're playing a different game. While the American giants focus on the mega deals,
Okay.
Simmons is filling the gaps, picking up clients and projects that the big firms are perhaps overlooking.
So maybe there's an opportunity here for smaller firms to carve out their own niche, almost like a David and Goliath situation in the legal world with potential ripple effects on the property market. This is where it gets really interesting for listeners, right?
Absolutely, because understanding these legal shifts can give you a real edge in the property market. Think of it like this. If Simmons & Simmons is thriving by focusing on specific areas of law or types of clients, it could tell us something about emerging trends in the market.
So if we want to predict what kinds of properties will be hot, which neighborhoods will see the most investment will be, we need to pay attention to what's happening in the legal world.
Yeah,
It's like decoding a secret message.
exactly. These lawyers move the types of firms that are winning and losing the areas of law that are in high demand. They're all clues to where the property market might be heading next.
I'm already starting to look at legal news in a whole new light. But let's get specific. How can our listeners who might not be legal experts use this information to their advantage when it comes to London property?
Well, that's what we're going to explore in the next part of our deep dive. Stay tuned because we're about to unpack exactly how these legal shifts might translate into tangible opportunities and potential pitfalls for anyone interested in buying, selling, or investing in London property.
Welcome back to London Property Digest. Before the break, we were talking about all of this movement in the legal sector.
A kind of frenzy.
It is. And one thing I want to highlight from the Financial Times piece is this intense competition for legal talent.
Yeah.
It's driving up salaries.
To pretty crazy levels. I mean, the article mentioned some partners are doubling or even tripling their compensation when they jump to a U.S. firm.
Yeah. It's a talent war.
It is a war for talent. And as you were saying before the break, it pushes firms to prioritize the highest value work. Exactly. Think about it. If a firm is paying a partner millions, they need to make sure those partners are bringing in even bigger deals to justify those costs.
So it's not just that these lawyers are expensive.
Right.
It's that their expertise is now focused on a very specific segment of the market. Those mega deals, the complex projects, the areas where the big money is flowing.
Exactly. And that has implications for the types of properties and projects that are likely to get prioritized.
Okay.
So if a firm is paying top dollar for a lawyer who specializes in, let's say, navigating the complexities of large-scale redevelopment projects in Zone 2,
Okay.
well, that expertise becomes a valuable asset. They're going to advise their clients to invest in areas where they have that deep and expensive knowledge.
So it's not just about following the money. It's about following the legal expertise. If we see a cluster of high-priced lawyers specializing in a particular type of property or a specific borough, that could be a signal that those areas are about to see a surge in investment.
Precisely.
Right.
And this is where things get really interesting for our listeners, because this legal maneuvering can give you a sneak peek into what might be coming down the pipeline.
So instead of just looking at property prices and market reports, we should be paying attention to law firm, press releases, partner appointments, the areas of law that are suddenly in high demand.
Exactly. Those are all clues to where the smart money is heading.
It's like having a secret insider's guide to the London property market.
It is a bit like a game of strategy.
Yeah.
And in the final part of our deep dive, we're going to explore some potential long-term consequences of this trend. What happens when this legal expertise becomes even more concentrated? Does it stifle competition? Does it drive up property prices even further? Does it create a London property market that's accessible only to the ultra-wealthy?
Those are some big questions. I'm eager to hear your thoughts. Listeners, stay with us as we delve into the potential impact of this legal shakeup on the future of London's property landscape. We'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsors. Welcome back to London Property Digest. We've been talking about how these shifts in the legal world can actually give us clues about the future of London's property market. But you mentioned earlier the potential long-term consequences of this concentration of legal power in the hands of a few big firms.
Yeah.
Does this trend create a less competitive market? Does it impact affordability?
Well, it's a valid concern. If a handful of firms dominate the most lucrative areas of property law, it could create barriers for smaller firms or those specializing in niche areas.
Right.
Like imagine a young, innovative law firm focused on, let's say, the legal complexities of sustainable building practices.
Okay.
If they're constantly competing with these mega firms for talent and clients, it could stifle their growth and limit the diversity of legal services available.
And that lack of diversity could trickle down to the property market itself, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fewer innovative projects, less focus on affordability, maybe even a homogenization of what gets built.
Exactly. If developers and investors are primarily working with a limited pool of legal expertise, their choices might be constrained. They might be less likely to take risks on projects that require specialized knowledge or that don't fit the mold of what these big firms are used to handling.
It almost sounds like we're heading towards a London property market that caters exclusively to the ultra-wealthy, with less room for diversity, innovation, and affordability.
It's a possibility, but it's not a foregone conclusion. I mean, remember those mid-sized firms like Simmons & Simmons? They're finding ways to thrive by adapting to this changing landscape.
That's true.
And there's another factor to consider: the rise of legal tech startups.
Oh, interesting.
They're leveraging technology to make legal services more accessible and affordable, potentially shaking things up and challenging the dominance of the big players.
So there's hope for a more balanced and dynamic legal landscape, even in the face of this consolidation.
Yeah, I'd say so.
That's good news. But for our listeners, how can they make sense of all this and use it to their advantage? What should they be watching for in the legal world to help them make informed decisions about London property?
I think it's about paying attention to the emerging players. The firms that are embracing innovation, specializing in niche areas, or showing a commitment to serving a diverse range of clients. Their success could signal a shift towards a more balanced and dynamic property market, one that caters to a wider range of needs and aspirations.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive into a side of the London property market that we don't often consider. It's a reminder that the legal world, even if it seems a bit abstract, is actually a powerful force shaping the future of London's bricks and mortar.
I agree. It's all connected.
Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the London property market.
My pleasure.
Subscribe to London Property Digest for the latest updates on the London property market.